Hello everyone and welcome to my no-hit no-deflect Shura guide. The no-deflect restriction has quite a few names, dodge only, no parry, but the point of it is the same. You can't block or deflect attacks or projectiles or anything. But how do you avoid taking damage in that case? Well, some of those ways I'm going to cover in this guide. I'm not going to completely cover all you have to do for every scenario for every boss in the run, but I will give you a quick rundown for everything this run has and give you some tips to make your learning process of this run a little easier. Before we begin, let me explain how dodges or dashes in this game work. Don't skip this part. If it wasn't as important, I would have put it as an extra at the end of the video. Yeah, so in all Soulsborne games, there is a mechanic called roll, or dash, which is an animation that gives you a certain period of invincibility. In that period, nothing can hit you. You are, by definition, invincible. The length of that period is generally measured in frames, with 30 frames being equal to 1 second. And those invincibility frames are generally referred to as iframes, where I stands for invincibility. For example, rolls in Dark Souls 3 give you 13 iframes. There are dashes in Sekiro 2, which is, like I said, an alternative to rolls, and they also have iframes, just like in any other Soulsborne game, but they aren't as simple as anywhere else. Due to bad hitboxes and due to general speed of attacks of your enemies, dashing head first into the adversary you're fighting doesn't always work, so you generally need to take into the account the direction of your dashes, as well as their timings. On top of that, there are two types of dashes in Sekiro. The first one is performed by dashing straight forward while being locked on, or when dashing when you're not locked on. The second type is performed in any other scenario, or when you're locked on and are dodging somewhere other than straight forward. The first type has 9 iframes and the second has 6 iframes. The second type also has a much longer animation on top of having much less iframes, so you want to avoid the second type of dodges as much as possible, so you only ever perform the first type. There are two ways of achieving that goal. The first is never locking on to your enemies, so every time your enemy escapes your point of view, you reposition your camera to face your enemy. Doing so requires a lot of clawing skill, so if you can't learn to claw for whatever reason, this option isn't for you. An alternative no lock-on playstyle was introduced by a runner named yoinked. In his hitless Shura with quite a few restrictions for one specific fight, instead of repositioning his camera every time the boss escaped his point of view, he put his camera in a way that the boss barely escaped the point of view at all. I haven't tested it myself, but I do know that it still requires clawing, although I'm sure it does have some advantages over the more common way of playing with no lock-on. So if you feel like it, you can test it for yourself and see if it's easier for you. There's a second option which is much more common than the first one. It involves unlocking your camera every time you want to dodge. It completely rids you of a necessity to aim your movement stick into your enemies. If you press the lock-on button, the camera will do the job for you, but you have to learn to predict when you're gonna dash so you can unlock in time before dashing. To put it simply, the first option involves you tilting your stick, and the second involves you pressing a button a lot. The choice what to do exactly is yours, so try all of that out for yourself and see what works for you better. And if you're wondering why I'm always assuming you're playing on a controller and not on keyboard and mouse, that's because so far there was literally no one who did a no-hit no-deflect run that way as far as I'm aware of. So if you don't have a controller and you want to do a no-deflect challenge, you'd probably be the first one to try, so good luck. Let me jump straight into this. None of the pathing sections in this game are restricted by a lack of your ability to deflect, so it's the same as without that restriction. However, I will still explain to you all of them in case you start a no deflect run as your first no hit run, like I did. So here's a slightly complex but quick strat for this part here. Right after you jump over that hole, spam the jump button and aim yourself to the left of the fence, of those fences far away. If the line you're taking is correct, you shouldn't get shot. Learning how to do this part without grabbing onto the ledge is pretty hard, so I suggest pressing the grab button after jumping off the wall for extra consistency. Next, make sure you have subtitles disabled, talk to Kuro until you get the killing word, and then leave the conversation. Then, leave the tower the same way you came in and run to your first actual fight in the run. You can also smash all those torches along the way for funsies. Yeah, I'm just gonna stay silent until the next boss fight, the first boss fight, whatever. So this is your first boss of the run. Since you encounter Guinea later on in the run, by practicing that Guinea you also practice this one too, so I wouldn't be too worried about this very Guinea. The main thing you need to do is spam R1 until you get deflected and then dodge forward, diagonally forward. Yeah, for the most part. Also, please avoid getting near rocks and trees and other random clutter. It's very dangerous and you can die. So at this part you jump when you line up yourself with the stone. Don't worry, the dogs will not hit you, at least they never hit me before. Please ignore the jump I made here. It was just for fun. So in this part you have to grab the money sack on this roof and the 3 money sacks behind the boxes right here. You need them to buy crackers from the vendor up the hill. Yeah, so you come in, you sell the money and buy the crackers. Then you drop down the ledge, drop down again, grab the gachin, jump off the wall, grapple up. Yeah, you can see what's going on the video. Yeah. this cock cannot hit you, so you can just run past him as you want. Yeah. So after you grab this idol, you have to go back to temple. You have to grab the 2 pellets near the idol and insert the crackers plus shuriken wheel into the prosthetic. To do this as quickly as possible, you skip the first 2 dialogues with pause button, then spam X on the 3rd dialogue and just spam it all until you get the crackers. Then when you finally inserted all the prosthetic tools, you quit out. You spam circle, and then press the pause button, and then then you warp back to outskirts. So pop the gacha on this roof or near the idol, wherever you want. So to avoid getting detected by those 2 guys, you have to stick to the left wall and jump exactly at the flag. Well, not exactly, but yeah, you just jump approximately at the flag and they won't detect you. And you sneak up behind the ogre and do the stealth death blow. I suggest doing it very slow, so there's no chance in hell that you will miss it. To make the fight itself as easy as possible, you have to learn the attack windows after every attack and to develop muscle memory to dodge sideways the moment you see the red kanji appear. Ogre has a very quick grab attack that is best telegraphed by that kanji, and for the most part that's the only major problem in this fight. As long as you don't get greedy, and as long as you can consistently iframe that attack, this fight shouldn't be too much of a challenge. Another thing about this fight is if you can use a cracker on Ogre here, then you can get a few extra hits, and although I didn't find the difference too significant, so may as well just go without it. Also, keep yourself in the arena, because if you go too far from it, you'll get detected by either the spear guy or the dual guys that you sneaked past like a minute ago. So for this part you have to see if the snake detected you while you were falling on the lower ledge. If it did detect you, run into the wall behind those lanterns for like a few moments and you will survive. Now, for this part you have to avoid that curvature on the ground, hug the wall and quickly shimmy by quickly and repeatedly tilting the stick right and then back to the center. When you're in the middle of that crack, tilt the stick right and hold it there. Double jump, run to the right of the palanquin, take this little detour and then grapple the branch. Once you're at the start of that branch, jump and grapple up. You're past the hard part. Now, let me show you how it's done with the controller input displayed. This strat is not really beginner friendly since it's pretty hard to learn and to get a hang of, but it is a good time save before the first actually hard boss in the run. If you don't plan on running Sekiro after finishing this run, I suggest going into the palanquin and stabbing the snake after the double jumping from the shimmy. It's just a lot simpler but slower. So this part isn't like overly complex or anything, but you have to be careful. So first of all, get the 4 grapples and grab the gachin. Then grab the echo sugar. Make sure to double jump against that wall and grab the ledge. If you don't grab the ledge, the spear guy will detect you and you will have to reset the area. When the spear guy walks just a little past you, climb up and do what I do here. When you grab the money and the 3 balls, duck again, get the grapple, hug the wall on the right to avoid getting detected by the gun guy, grab the piece of ash, grab the pellets, and then grapple on top of that building there, and then onto the arena of Gyobu. Grab that piece of ash, I'll go before those 2 logs, 5 R1s, cracker. Next, It takes 9 hits to stagger Gyobu after those 5 R1s, so try to get as much hits on him as you can. If you got 7 or 8 hits, you're good. After that, horse runs away, and it's almost certainly going to do an attack that you can grapple to, so yeah, grapple to it. Regardless of what attack it does after the grapple and regardless on which side you're on, you can safely hit the horse 1 or 2 times, assuming it staggers after those 1 or 2 hits. And if you did do 7 or 8 hits after the first cracker, it should stagger, yeah. After you stagger the horse, keep attacking so you can get as much hits as you can. Then, when it runs away, wait for another attack that you can use a grapple on. Grapple to it, do a single slash, and then use the cracker. Again. This is the script of the first phase. It's over now. For the second phase, you have to stay to the left of the horse. From horse's side, position yourself around the saddle and dash to the back legs of the horse and the rhythm of the attack. That attack is always the same as long as you stay to that side of the horse, so don't worry. It's a little difficult to keep yourself to that side of the horse because of the random elevations on the arena, so I recommend practicing that loop really well. It's not the most consistent strat for this boss fight, but it's as quick and as fun as it can get. If you accidentally break the loop and get flunked to the other side of the horse, do your best to get back to the right side of the horse by any means necessary. Iframing the attacks, running away and then back, whatever. Another thing I want to note is that if you fail the timing on those dashes, depending on the elevation you might not get hit, or you might. That detail makes practicing this loop just a little harder, so keep that in mind. Back to the script of the fight itself. After the horse staggers, hit it 4 more times, cracker, hit its left back leg 2 times, and then dash in the zinc with the slam to reposition yourself back into the loop. Then, just continue the loop with crackers or R1s or whatever you want. It doesn't make too much of a difference at this point, but please note that crackers deal a significant amount of posture damage, more than regular R1s, although the attack that follows up with the cracker stun in phase 2 renders horse immune to that posture damage for the duration of that attack, so don't cracker horse in that moment. With that scary fight out of the way, grab the idol after horse regardless of where you are in the arena, consume the memory, consume the money bag that you picked up on the way to horse, and then buy 11 spirit emblems from the idol. And then run to Tengu, talk to him and refuse his offer to hunt some rats. You can still accept it, but it's useless, really. It's just a time loss to accept his offer. Yeah. So after you talk to him, then idle. Back to the idol. While the game is loading and while I'm opening the door, I just want to say that I have a Twitch channel where I do some Sekiro runs. I stream almost regularly. Yeah, I'm very cool. Yeah, check it out. Yeah, cool. Yeah. So after you open this door, oh no, it's still not done yet. Okay, let's wait a little more. Okay, so after opening the door, run to the right or to the left of the gun guy, jump and grapple. If you do that, the gun guy will miss always. And then proceed to the Baal boss fight. Yeah. By the way, there is an extra money bag and an extra couple of gachins to the right of here, if you're interested in them for whatever reason. You shouldn't need them anyway, so hit this guy 2 times, consume the confetti, and consume the echo sugar right here. Watch the 2 guys get mowed down by the Baal, and then cracker the Baal. So this fight has a similar script to Gyobu's, only you stay to the right and instead of doing just random R1s, you have to specifically trust his head. If the Baal gets staggered, then you can use this opportunity to do an extra poke. If the Baal does the triple shake attack right here and runs away, find a moment to cracker him to resume the loop. If you do this right and if you don't miss the pokes, then the fight is really easy and really quick. Yeah, that's it. So I haven't tested this part over much, but this is one of the possible routes that you can try on the way to Guinea. So just ignore those two guys near the door and just YOLO through them. Ignore the idol, ignore everything, grapple up and proceed to the night jars. Yeah, so after you get at the top of that tower, after you, just wait and wait until the night jar starts yellowing. After he starts yellowing, hide behind here and just wait until he stops yellowing. You can crouch for fun or just spam L1 for memes or spin around, but do not attack or jump, because the night jar on the right will detect you and things will go bad. So next thing you do, run here. I suggest not cutting this corner, because the night jar on the back can hit you with a shuriken. Alternatively, you can pick up a gachin I mentioned earlier and do this part with the gachin after the night jar stops yellowing, of course. For this part I suggest running closer to the night jar and not hugging the wall like I did here, or the night jar might jump at you and kill you if you don't jump in response. Yeah, so grapple onto the window, grab the ash, grab the gourd seed in this chest, and then warp to the Ashina Castle idol and talk to the old lady, skip the dialogue with the options button, pop a ball, eat the ball, the yellow one, I mean. The lady will speak to you and yeah, skip that dialogue too, repeat it 3 times and you'll get a Nunga sugar, an Echo sugar and divine confetti. Yeah, after you're done with this, warp to temple. You need to talk to Sculpture for the Shinobi skill book. You need to get Mikiri and a whole bunch of other stuff later on. You can just skip the first dialogue and he'll just give it to you. For this part, skip the first dialogue, then skip the present healing gourd dialogue, then give the seed and skip the dialogue afterwards, then just give the seed just like that. Yeah. Now you need all those pellets and yeah, get Mikiri. Yeah, you need all those pellets and healing gourds to partially cheese phase 3 Guinea later on. So yeah. Now this part is called Dojo Skip. Hard to explain how to do it, so just do what I do here. Yeah, it's pretty hard to get a hang of, but it's worth it. Now let me introduce you to my setup of the Guinea cheese. So run right to the right past Guinea and use the confetti on the 3rd row from the wall, and then after the animation is done, immediately double jump like that. Here's a little visualization I made here to help you understand how to set up this cheese and to help you understand what's going on. Yeah. Let me show you the setup again. So after double jumping, do 3 slashes on the ground. However, you need to carefully position yourself. If you aim yourself too far to the right, one of your slashes will whiff. If you aim yourself too far to the left, Guinea will block your slashes and bad things are gonna happen. After the slashes are done, repeatedly do this movement in quick succession. Hold L1, press R1 quickly, release R1. Hold L1, quickly press R1 and release L1. Just a few frames later, do that again. I suggest doing it slower so your button presses aren't screwed up. However, doing it quickly is also beneficial for reasons I will explain in a moment. If Guinea backsteps, stop the sequence. He can jump and shoot 4 arrows at you, or he can idle. If he idles, You can continue the loop like normal once you're certain he is not going to arrow you. If you see him jumping and beginning his arrow attack, quickly dash towards him. You only need to dash the first arrow. If you do that, the rest will miss. After that, get back to your corner, re-angle yourself, do the 3 slashes and resume the loop. Just a note, going faster decreases your chances of getting arrowed on the holder 1, presser 1, releaser 1 sequence, I mean. But there is always a chance that he will jump and arrow you, so keep that in mind. It's not completely safe to just continue the sequence with as much speed as you can. So after the phase transition, I also suggest doing 3 slashes, but just remember, these slashes are important more for consistency than for speed, although they do make it a little faster. Alternatively, if you're having problems with the cheese, you can do this fight cheeseless. I will put a link to an endurance fight with the Guinea in the description, make sure to check it out, but in short, you attack Guinea until you get deflected, and then you accordingly react to the next attack of his. So for phase 3, make sure your consumables and your quick tool bar thing are arranged in this very way. So next, when the phase starts, consume an Echo Sugar and then Mikiri, the thrust attack that Guinea does on you. And then consume a pellet or a gourd, and then after a couple of moments, Mikiri the thrust that Guinea does on you. Repeat this process until you're completely out of healing items. Doing this sip cheese deals significant posture damage to Guinea and almost trivializes the fight. But I certainly suggest learning this phase anyways, because it's pretty hard. So when you practice this part with save states, I suggest not using the sip cheese, so you can get a feeling of every attack that he can do. Yeah. And so you can, so you learn to tilt your camera towards him if you play unlocked like me. While making this guide, I've been working on my newest no-hit run, and there has been a very fresh development in my strats for this boss. The development was, it is much easier to fight all variations of Genichiro that can do the sideways arrow jumps, if you stay locked onto him and unlock only after you get deflected or after you see a jumping slam attack. However, I will say that locking on and unlocking can be very complex and hard for newer runners, so if you don't plan on to run no deflect no hit runs in the future, or if you just can't get a hang of that technique, I certainly suggest doing the no lock on strats like I always used to. As for them, to avoid the sideways arrow jumps, tilt your stick a little to the right of Guinea, because he always jumps in the same direction. It is still, however, very hard to keep your slashes facing diagonally right of Guinea for a prolonged period of time. But with the sip cheese, I mean, the fight is super quick anyways, and the sideways jumps are not that common anyways. The showcase video of the both strats for lock on and lock off for Castle Guinea, I mean, both will be in the description, so yeah, check it out. It also has a whole pile of useful stuff, yeah. With the Guinea out of the way, just proceed downwards, take the sidle, upgrade your attack power once, then talk to Kuro, spam skip dialogue button until you get an option to say yes or no. You say no and then press the skip dialogue button again, the options button, yeah. Then talk to Kuro again until you get an item from him. Then talk to the incense burner and then skip the dialogue immediately. Then talk to Kuro again. Then open the big window door thing, whatever even is this. Like, what even is this? I've never I don't even know what is this. And after that, to talk to Kuro again, immediately skip dialogue and yeah, go to Ishin. Then skip spam skip the dialogue until you're giving a sake. Then talk to him about the Immortal Severance. After you press the Immortal Severance option, skip the dialogue. And then talk about the Mortal Blade, and then skip the dialogue again. Good. Now you managed to spawn the Mortal Blade, and you've gained access to the Folding Screen Monkeys boss fight. Yeah, so drop down from above and talk to this little guy with a big black hat and no clothes on, and buy 3 Yashiriko Shogras for the 390 sen that you have left from that big money sack you picked up before Gyobu. Yeah, then idle out back to how's it called? Back to the Kuro's room. Then yoink the key from beside Kuro, and then you can go from here to straight to Gunford, so you don't have to do it later, or you can just go to Ashina Castle and go to Senpu Temple first. Just if you're going the Gunford way, make sure not to kill the centipede, because Mortal Draw makes that fight significantly easier. Now, yeah, just proceed to Senpu Temple. On this part, try not to fall off. Just when you grapple up there, just jump immediately, and yeah, you can fall off and be put in a very inconvenient situation. After jumping over this last threat, you can jump over again while facing the general direction of the behind the wall, and that will remove any possibility that you will get hit by a knife or anything. So yeah, it's a very quick and very consistent strat. I really recommend to use it for everyone, even if you don't plan on doing any no hit, no deflect runs. Yeah, so let's proceed to Armored Warrior. I'm sorry that I screwed up the script for this fight in the showcase run, even though I survived anyways, but here's the actual footage of it. Here's the script for that fight. So up to Yashiriko sugars, line yourself up with those two pillars and use a Yashiriko sugar. Run to the mini-boss, Cracker, do 6 hits while dangling to get behind his back, dodge the incoming attack, do 4 hits to stagger him, and then 4 more hits after the stagger. Dodge the first attack of the Berserk Combo, 2 hits, then dodge his final attack, and then do 6 hits while dangling in a way so you stay behind his back. At this point the fight is mostly unscripted, so you have to actually respond to the attacks he does and punish them accordingly. Although he should only have enough posture for a few hits anyways, since the damage bonus from a Yashiriko Sugar is gigantic. After dealing with the final hit, you have to carefully lock onto him and aim him to the ledge of the arena. If you're unsure, you can reposition him a little, like to a wall before dealing the final hit that actually breaks his posture. If you hesitate and not push him off, he will regain 25% of his posture. However, if you miss instead, and not attempt to push him off, he will regain 50% of his posture. So keep that in mind if you accidentally broke his posture prematurely. If you're unlucky enough to do that, note that it takes 5 hits to stagger him on new game, and thrust attacks deal double stagger damage. However, I wouldn't recommend to use them due to them dealing decreased posture damage. Every second stagger he does the Berserk Combo, which I explained how to survive above. It's one of the easiest attacks to survive and provides around 12 attack windows for R1s, and that's if you don't get greedy. But yeah, learn the last part of this only for a failsafe, because if you don't miss the Sparta itself, you won't be put into any difficult situations anyways. With that mini boss out of the way, please don't fall off into the pool down below. It's not really convenient to get out of there. For this part, there is like with the rest of almost the rest of Senpu Temple, there is nothing really to note here. Just do what I do and you won't get hit. Yep. Even the no. Let's get to the folding screen monkeys boss fight when we get there. All right. And before we get there, let's just take a moment to appreciate that this game has Darth Maul as a regular enemy. So while being Gachin, walk into the boss fight, turn around and kill the monkey behind you. It has 1 HP, so you can really kill it with anything you want. Then grapple on forward and stab at the orange monkey in the back. Then jump from here on the big branch to kill the green monkey. And then grapple atop of this tower and yeah, there is not really any reasons not to go forward here. All those monkeys jumping on you, they won't hit you as long as you don't bump into any of them. As long as you just keep going, they will never hit you. And then you just come to this purple monkey and stab it in the back. Cool. Yeah, you just completed the hardest boss fight in the game. Objectively, the hardest, not like subjectively or anything, but objectively. Yeah, so talk to the divine child, skip the dialogue. After saying I do, get the most OP combat art in the game, then rest here, enhance your attack power once and get the mid-air combat arts skill. Both are needed for stuff later on. Then move to the Gunfort idol if you did the Gunfort already at this point, or move to Kuro's room if you didn't do Gunfort already. So yeah, let's get to Gunfort itself. And yeah, please before proceeding into the centipede fight, make sure you both have the skill and you have the mortal draw equipped in your combat art menu thing. Yeah, so there isn't really any difference how you run through this part. It's pretty easy. All the routing differences are speed. Yeah, so not really important. Yeah, just drop down the ledge here. So yeah, this is the part where you can die. Jump right before this item. Don't grab it. Don't get greedy. I wanted to get greedy and I died. So yeah, don't kill that gun guy. Just proceed on forward. Do what I do. Even the camera movements, they're important to get the grapples right. Yeah, plunge that gecko and yeah, hug the wall. And then let's proceed to like one of the only challenging running sections in the game. So yeah, use the gacha on this branch. Jump here a little to the left so you don't get detected by a gun guy patrolling. Yeah, jump down, grapple onto that branch, then immediately jump up and grapple. Just don't hesitate or you will get hit. Yeah, grapple up here and immediately crouch. Crouch until you go to the first plank of the bridge that is significantly wider than all the others, and then start running. After you reach the third pole from the crack, jump in a way to fall off a bridge and to keep going in the same, well, almost the same horizontal direction. Then tilt your camera up and then spam grapple. After you land on the branch, jump to the right to double jump off the wall and then grapple back to the branch. If you did that and if you're alive, you're clear. Here's a couple of diagrams that will help you understand what to do. This part is really complicated, so I would suggest to put a lot of practice into this part because yeah, I've had significant difficulties with learning it. After you're done with that part, just sit in here and wait until all the guys both stop shooting and all those yellow things, they disappear. Yeah, let's just wait a little more. Yeah, so after they all disappear, consume a gacha and sugar and just go this way up. Don't worry about any of those guys, don't worry about all those shots. Those shots they don't do anything. So for this part, go a little to the right so you don't get detected by the gun guy, because if you're to the left, a little too far to the left on that part, he might detect you and things will go bad. So yeah, there is no reason to pick up all this money sack, yellow gunpowder, pellets. I just pick it up out of habit. So yeah, this is the idol, so make sure to check if you have all the skills, if you have the 4 attack power, if you have a mortal draw equipped, if you have Yashariku, Sugar and the Ash equipped. So yeah, please double check it. It's not too fun to lose around because of that. And then proceed to the mini boss fight. Mini boss fight. Whatever. Okay. I don't know what I'm even doing here. Just go into the fight already, please. Thank you. Okay, now use the Yashariku Sugar, lock onto Centipede and throw a Nash into its face. Walk behind its back, stand still for a second and then use a jumping mortal draw. Then after the Centipede moves away, do a second jumping mortal draw. Then if you get a front death blow, walk behind its back and do a jumping mortal draw, then immediately cracker and then do a double jumping mortal draw. That's an easy GG. If you manage to get a back death blow animation, then run away and throw a Nash into the centipede to stun it, and then yeah, do the same thing again. Walk behind its back, jumping mortal draw, cracker, and finish off with the additional double jumping mortal draw. In this clip I accidentally did a regular mortal draw instead of a jumping mortal draw at the beginning of phase 2, but yeah, grab the title please. It's fine if you make that mistake, but I found it to be more consistent if you do a jumping mortal draw at the beginning of that phase instead of a regular mortal draw. Yeah. So for this part, grapple onto the hand, fall off to grapple onto this branch, then do a regular non-sprinting jump while facing this direction. Turn your camera to the left, tilt the camera stick upwards, and then spam grapple. You should get the grapple right before hitting the floor. Be careful, since this is one of the only places in the game where you can get a black screen from fall damage, which is considered a hit by current rules. There is another pretty complicated pathing section. It's not like too hard or anything, but I'd say it's worth learning how to do this part faster, mostly because it's fun. Yeah, so wait a little until the snake shows up, and then bait out the attack by the snake. Run back, then run forward, and when the kanji symbol appears, just jump to the side and then get the grapple. That's it. That's all really there is about this part. Just try to stay focused for it, because if you like chat while doing this part, or if you don't like, if you feel bad while doing it, you might actually lose focus and die. Yeah, so go here, after stabbing this guy in the back, grapple on here, and then let's get to Snake Eyes. Yash, lock on and backstab the mini-boss, walk around her, double jumping MD, unlock and run away immediately after she shoots at you, after she whiffs a grab attack, or after you manage to stun her with a cracker. Do another double jumping MD and it's a GG. In this fight I accidentally did a single jumping MD instead of a double, so I barely survived the fight. Please focus on the fights that you have to do and don't make the same mistakes that I do. Yeah, so after taking all these grapples, try not to fall off anywhere. It's hard to fall off here if you focus, but yeah, so just focus here and don't fall off. You can salvage your run if you fall off somewhere, but it's easier to just not put yourself in such inconvenient circumstances. So yeah, this fight is super scary. Just take 5 deep breaths before proceeding here. I didn't do that, and I barely died here, so yeah, please be a little more focused for this fight. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, with that RNG hell out of the way, let's proceed to Mibu Village. Jump at this tree and spam grapple If you spam grapple there, you won't die when you fall off. And there is nothing for me to say again. Yeah, go to this house and yeah, sneak here, use this little trapdoor thing or whatever this is to enter the house and grab a divine confetti, and you can also grab those 5 emblems and the 500 sen on the rooftop if you want. So yeah, then proceed to the boss. So sneak around the left side of the arena, so you don't get detected by Monk, and sneak behind her. Then equip your snap seeds and ashes you picked up along the way. Then use all the snap seeds, all your crackers, and then throw a bunch of ashes all in quick succession. Using all the crackers and like 4 fistfuls of ash and all the snap seeds in quick succession, obviously, it should be enough for you to 100% get through this boss. Yeah, so while being locked onto monks, jump off that little monument thing, and yep, jump from there on the boss, and that's a GG. Now let's get to the actually interesting part. No, not yet. Grab this Tantal Stone or whatever it is. Oh wait, it's called Shelter Stone. Whatever. Wrong game. Idle out back. You should, if you didn't take any idols along the way, you should be warped to the Riven Cave idol. You have to backtrack. Well, you have to go back here. Yeah, I was confused about this part a little. So you can get this extra Yashariko sugar here. You can also grab the money sack lying around on the floor, but it's not necessary in this run or even in the Immortal Severance if you're planning to do that at some point later. Yeah, so yeah, before proceeding to Monkey, go to Sculptors and insert the prosthetic you picked up after Giraffe, and you should get the prosthetic esoteric text skill book thing. Yeah. Then get the yeah, you should have enough emblems for all karma skills available at this point, so you can go to the monkey with 19 spirit emblems. Let's proceed to the monkey. What am I even doing here? Oh, I know what I'm doing. Yeah, there aren't any other places in the game where you need to use those echo sugars, but when your Yashariko sugar runs out in the second phase, you can use the echo sugars for some extra damage and to speed up the fight a little. Yeah. So grapple onto this hand, jump from here to the idol. If you didn't get detected by any monkeys, there's no chance in hell you're gonna get shot at. and proceed to the monkey. Just double check you've got everything, and yeah. You use the Ashiriko Sugar behind this tree, and the stun lock is initiated and reinitiated by 2 jumping mortal draws. Then you hit the ape until the big stagger, and after that do 2 more hits. Then you gotta time your hits right so the first slash hits right as the ape stands up. I like to use the feet movements as telegraphs, so I hit the ape around the time it gets back on its feet. Be careful, usually the big stagger happens after 2 mortal draws and after 2 small staggers, but sometimes it happens after 1 small stagger. Keep that in mind. This loop is pretty hard to get a hang of, but once you learn the timings, you can do it pretty consistently. So I strongly suggest investing a lot of time into it and practicing it with the AP1 save states. Moving on to the second phase. The second phase is a decently long, unscripted phase, so there is a lot to learn here, a lot of muscle memory to develop, and I will just throw some tech right here to help you get the fight as quick and as consistent as possible. The ape usually does the 2+2 slash attack when it gets within a certain distance to you and when it's running towards you and not edge walking. So if you want to bait it out, back up and wait for it. That attack is also an amazing attack window, providing a window for 2 non-jumping mortal draws or 4 slashes. Also, if you're behind the ape's back and after another one of ape's attacks ends, it has a good chance to do the scream attack. You can use the scream to rebuff if you have a need to. Another thing you need to know is that you can stagger the ape with a single jumping emblemed mortal draw. You can use this to get more attack windows on the boss while you still have emblems to make the fight quicker. Just watch out for the emblem count, since at best you only have enough emblems for 4. This isn't, however, the case if you do a different route that I will explain at the end of the video, since it provides you with enough emblems for 5 more mortal draws. Also, if after you run out of emblems, make sure to buff your sword with the confetti, since it deals more damage than unemblemed mortal draws. Lastly, don't deal the last hit when there is any sort of an attack in process. Sometimes the last hit can turn the ape to you before the attack is over and you will get hit. Please avoid that. Another thing I want to mention is if you manage to stagger the ape with a jumping mortal draw, don't do the follow-up, because the follow-up is not considered a jumping mortal draw and it deals normal damage. So yeah. Well, on that note, the fight is done, and we only have one little small pathing section left, and one boss, the final boss. I mean, yeah. So upgrade your attack power, grab the flower, and use the idol to warp to the last idol. However, the game is scripted to warp you to the abandoned dungeon idol for speedrunning purposes, I guess. I don't know why it warps you here. Maybe Miyazaki coded it like that, so it's more convenient for everyone who like runs this game professionally. So yeah, there is nothing really to talk about here, just pick up this little Yashiriko Sugar so you can go to the final boss fight with all 3 Yashiriko Sugars, 1 for every phase. Okay, so for this part, after drawing his sword, the ninja will start falling down from the wooden bridge thing. When he does that, start sprinting forward, jump, and grapple onto that wooden bridge thing. Boom, that's the last pathing section in the game that you need to worry about. Then just do what I do here, and you won't get hit. Okay, so now to the last boss. Just before heading in, make sure to catch your breath, because it is after all a very hard boss, and it is the final boss. Yeah. Before proceeding into the fight, I suggest using the Yashoriko Sugar outside of the arena or using it alone, without the Divine Confetti. It works especially well with Devotion, which you do have in an alternate route that I will explain after this fight is done. Do not use both Yashoriko Sugar and Confetti inside of the arena, like I just did. There's a small chance she will do the Ashna Cross attack and you will die. In this fight, the loop involves getting Emma to block. She usually does 3 moves after blocking an attack, a single slash, a double slash, and a backstab. If she does the single slash, dodge diagonally to your left and immediately dash. If she does 2 slashes, just walk a little after dodging and do the same. If you don't do that walking part, you might get hit by one of the slashes. If you don't attack her after an attack and if you're in front of her, she starts charging up an Ashna Cross attack, so you can use it to reposition her. Another notable detail is that dealing with her is much riskier when you and her are near an edge of the arena, so keep that in mind. If she dashes back, go with her and prepare to dodge the incoming attack. She can do a thrust lunge if she is far enough, which you can mikiri or dodge in a way that the thrust whiffs. Even though the thrust attacks ignore dodge iframes, I've never been hit by that attack while attempting to mikiri counter it and failing in the process, so don't be too worried about it. The loop involves doing 3 hits to her back after dodging. She should tank the first 2 and block the third. Attacking in front of her makes her block the second or even the first hit. Sometimes she blocks the 4th or the 5th hit, and to prevent yourself from getting killed if you hesitate and don't do enough hits, you have to quickly respond to the following attack or you will die. I said be nice, what the fuck? She just tanked like 5? If you accidentally do too much hits and she will deflect you, which happens after 1 or 2 blocks, she can do the regular 1 slash attack but follow it up with 2 additional slashes. After you dodge the first slash, you should be able to outspace the other 2 if you keep walking backwards. She can also do a slow grab attack, which you can avoid by going behind her back, or if it's impossible, you can walk backwards to avoid it. Its range is pretty small. She can also do a flurry of a sort, which you can survive by awkwardly iframing the attacks while moving away from her. Her movement speed during that attack is low and some hits should whiff anyways. After stabbing Emma's throat, wipe off your tears with your sleeve and use a Divine Confetti buff when you notice that the Shinobi execution thing starts fading out. Watch the edgy cutscene to catch your breath if you need to, and use Yashoriko Sugar as soon as you're out. The first phase of Ishin, or the second of the entire fight, is reasonably complex, but with my updated strats, it's totally manageable. The main thing you need to know is that you have to attack Ishin until he stops blocking and deflects you. Then, unless he does the Ichimonji attack, you have to hit his side in order to turn him to you. If you hit his back, he will go into a move that I will refer later as the iframe stance. He can also randomly just backstep and go there without hitting his back. If he is slowly walking sideways or forwards and idling, it means he is in the iframe stance. Attempting to attack him will cause him to do a spinny iframe move, which makes him invulnerable to all melee attacks. He always follows that up with a slash, so if you ever see him idling and slowly walking, you can attack him once with your sword, preferably with a thrust for more range, and dodge diagonally left afterwards. Then you can hit his side to resume the loop. Be careful when you hit him when he is slowly walking towards you and not sideways, since he can stop idling and attack you when you get close. And if your thrust lands where he when he does that, he will deflect it instead of dodging it with the iframe move. However, if he is quickly walking towards you, he will either go into the iframe stance or he can do a very predictable lunge, which is best interrupted with an R1. If you hit him early enough, you can even get an extra attack window, although I wouldn't suggest specifically going for it since you can whiff entirely and die. Another thing I want to mention is that the loop with slashing Ishin's side doesn't work as well if he's hugging a wall, so in case if he gets there somehow, lure him to the middle of the arena. Lastly, be advised that if you attack Ishin in front after a thrust attack, he will always deflect your hit, regardless of if it was an R1, an R2 or a mortal draw. Mortal draws are especially perilous since you can dodge in time after a mortal draw, and if he deflects your mortal draw, you will die. That's all there is to say about this phase. Moving on to the third, final, hardest phase. At the beginning of this phase, use a Yashiriko Sugar. Then, Ishin will always backstep and do the one-mind attack, which you can interrupt with a jumping mortal draw. So that is basically the entire script for this phase. You punish attacks with single mortal draws, wherever they're jumping ones or not, depends on the attack and your personal preference, and then you run away, preferably not into a wall. I strongly suggest not to follow up mortal draws with a second mortal draw, since Ishin can glitch out an iframe move with a second mortal draw, seemingly randomly. There is an unclear area where doing double mortal draws is safe, but I honestly recommend only doing singular mortal draws for the sake of consistency and simplicity. There isn't really much to tell about this phase. The endurance skills can help you learn the boss just fine. Well, the phase just fine. It's just that Ishin idles and goes into the iframe stance more often after his fire attacks. Also, try to avoid getting behind Ishin unless you mean to mortal draw him, or if you do, be advised that he is programmed to do a certain unpunishable move in that case. Lastly, in case of an emergency, let me show you how to survive the one-mind attack if you were too far away to interrupt it. So, you stand in a place that is safe from the fire wave, and when Ishin lunges at you, and he can lunge to you across the entire arena, dodge the first hit and stay behind his back while the rest of the one-mind goes on. You can even punish it with a jumping mortal draw after the final slash. It's completely safe. That's all there is really to say about this fight. I just recommend practicing it a lot since it's easily the hardest and the most complex fight in the run. I suggest using the AP0 and G+7 Demon Bell Charm as save states that I will put into the description of this video to practice individual bosses, so you know what to do in every scenario on Earth. This applies to both Genis, to Ogre, to Baal, to Horse, to Armored Warrior, to Ape, to Ishin, to every unscripted boss in the run, basically. I do, however, suggest using regular save states to practice those bosses too, along with the endurance save states to simulate the field conditions better. Also, in G+7 the bosses are harder to stagger, so keep that in mind when practicing Armored Warrior, Baal, Horse and Ape. With that out of the way, let me give you a quick rundown on the alternate route a runner named Tarek Sturmo used in his world's first Shura no-hit no-deflect run that involves getting devotion and killing a Shishman warrior for 10 toes. I actually lied to you a little. This alternate route that I recorded, it was not used by Tarex, but the idea of killing the Shishman warrior before Guardian Ape was first used by him. I just took that idea to a slightly newer level, the idea of doing a bunch of easy stuff before proceeding to Ape and Ishin boss fights, to make those two fights easier and quicker, I mean. So here are the main differences between this route and the one I explained above. You have to yoink a pacifying agent from Senpu Temple or the abandoned dungeon, or just kill a grabbing guy in abandoned dungeon for that, a guaranteed drop. It's not hard at all if you just stay behind his back and hit him while he whiffs his grabs. Next, after you're done with the fake monk, you need to grab the temple skill book and get the devotion skill. Just watch out for this little part here. All you have to do is jump when you see that the mini centipede starts throwing bombs at you. As long as you don't lose focus, which you shouldn't at this point if it's your first no deflect run. This part is more or less free. After you get devotion and make sure you have 5 attack power, backtrack to abandoned dungeon from the Ashna Castle idol, and consume a pacifying agent, a divine confetti, and a Yashoiko sugar, in that very order, once you get near the drop to the sheesh. Then, drop down, wait until the pack of orbs spawn so they don't throw you off and don't kill you. Lock onto sheesh and do 5 hits. Then, use a firecracker and do the 6 more hits. Next, look at the fading out sheesh. Once he completely vanishes, and the fog in the arena makes it really easy to see when he does. Run towards this exact place where the sheesh will always warp to if you run when he fades out. Ignore the laser beam, just do another 5 hits, throw a Nash this time because of the cooldown on crackers, and do 6 hits and it's a GG. Make sure you don't deal any extra hits after breaking Sheesh's posture in phase 1, because those hits will count as stagger damage and the Sheesh will stagger faster in the next phase, which will almost certainly result in your death. That's more or less all you have to do. You won't have enough skill points to get a base value of 18 emblems before the big monkey, but you will have once the ape is down, and so make sure to get those extra emblems. That's 1 extra mortal draw. That's all there is really to say. Be advised that all of those steps take a pretty considerable amount of time, and in any other category you will get past fake monk a lot more frequently than in this run here, so decide for yourself if you want to use this route or the main one. My personal preference will always be the main one. So, like I mentioned earlier, if you accidentally get a backstab death blow on Centipede, you can still save the fight by using this strat here. So, after the death blow, reposition yourself to the middle of the arena and throw a Nash in a way so the Centipede gets staggered while being around that middle of the arena. Then get behind its back and do a jumping mortal draw. Then dash backwards, throw another Ash and do a double jumping mortal draw. That's it. You can use my AP1 Demon Bell Charmless no hit no deflect Shura video as an example of how to do it. I used the strat in the second phase of Senti in that run, and after some practice it was very consistent and reliable. While I was polishing the guide, I have recalled that there is another variation of guinea cheese, which I found easier, simpler, and quicker than the one that I showcased earlier. Instead of doing the block to attack rhythm, you always do 4 slashes when beginning the sequence. When you continue it after iframing an arrow, always. And after you're done with the slashes, you wait until the animation of the last slash is fully over, and then you do the 4 slashes again. Just like the other guinea cheese, it involves you reading the backstabs and accordingly reacting to whatever happens after them, although from my experience there was no need to specifically stop slashing to dodge an arrow, since continuous slashing can interrupt the jump. But if you see guinea backstab, prepare to dash the moment you stop the slashes. As you can see, it's significantly faster than the other guinea cheese, and that's why I recorded the showcase with an AP1 Demon Bell Charmless save states. It's even faster on AP2 without hard mode. Yeah, moving on. I was very late when I realized that I completely sidestepped explaining the Dojo Skip due to my own laziness, so here's the actual explanation. You jump on the window frame. To get there, you can grapple there from the outside, or get very close to it from the inside, jump from standing still and move your stick towards the window frame mid-air. Then, sprint to the side of the window frame for a few moments, sharply tilt your stick to the right and then jump. Then, jump off the pole onto this rooftop here. It might take you a while to get a hang of this, but this skip saves a significant amount of time, so I do recommend learning it. If you fail, you can either run back to the idol and rest there, or if you haven't alerted any of the nightjars, just grapple back to the window frame and try it again. And don't worry, even if you fail it a couple of times, it's still faster than going the other way. The length of that period is generally measured in frames, with 1330. Jesus Christ, that dog! With 30 iframes. Oh my god, this is awful. A bunch of wives? You want me to start my own harem or something? Oh yes, daddy, give me that no deflect cock.